I mean, these laws, depending on how they differ in different states, just muddle the medical journey that is already a nightmare for women when they're on it, or giving birth to a baby that won't live more than a matter of minutes.
Shut up,
and
silly
going
woman.
through the emotional trauma, let alone being sterilized by that. You can thank Donald Trump for that.
Every time they parrot these talking points, it's not true.
Gross.
Everyone been following Trump's abortion plan here?
No.
He's not planning to have an abortion.
Oh, thank God.
I didn't schedule one.
He's keeping it.
I'm going to do myself.
I like to play it by ear. I like to be spontaneous with ending a life. So, and there are so many, we were going through, run through, and we want to talk about how this politically is something that benefits Donald Trump. But then the response from Morning Joe and Mika, whatever her name is, everything is wrong. They keep trotting out these myths, these false narratives with abortion because they're just hoping it's like a Chinese water torture. If it drips, 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 you start to believe it. So we'll cover both of them. Donald Trump was very clear. He clarified his stance on abortion this morning. That's important going into the election because the left is going to try and tell women that you have men in the Republican Party swatting birth control away when you go to CVS, right? They are claiming, the left, that the Republican Party is too extreme. And before I move on to Donald Trump's statements, look, let's take the most extreme views of the parties, okay? Just to be clear. One is no abortions at all. All right, that's the extreme view. I now switched it, my left, your right, because I figure you're going to go, you're probably self-obsessed. So your right, Republicans. Okay, the most extreme, which is not actually really a significant wing of the party, no abortions whatsoever. The left, and this has been policy in many states, abortion up until, including, and potentially after birth, these have actually taken place to the number of tens of thousands. Each year, late-term abortions. We don't have the number of babies who survived abortions. We just know that it happened in Illinois and Virginia because Barack Obama voted present on the Infants Born Alive Act. And you had Governor Northam say, yeah, the baby will be kept comfortable until it dies. So most extreme, no abortions. That's the right, most extreme left, abortion all the way up until and including birth. Let me ask you, which one do you think is more extreme? Now, the mainstream view of a lot of Republicans out there, and I won't even say that I necessarily share this view. I'm probably more extreme than most people, I admit it. Mainstream view is abortion, for the exception of rape, incest, or life of the mother. And you look at states, they have things like heartbeat bills, right? A lot of them have bills that maybe end it in the first trimester. The mainstream view of the left is abortion up until and including birth, period. There has been not one ever, in the DNC, in the last 3 election cycles, who has ever said that they would put a limitation at any point on abortion. You won't find one. So most extreme view, now we have the most extreme view of the left. Mainstream view, and the mainstream view of the left is the exact same as their most extreme. Do you see that? So here is President Trump's statement from this morning on abortion going into the election.
Many people have asked me what my position is on abortion and abortion rights, especially since I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of something that all legal scholars, both sides, wanted and, in fact, demanded be ended. Roe v. Wade. They wanted it ended. It must be remembered that the Democrats are the radical ones on this position because they support abortion up to and even beyond the 9th month. My view is now that we have abortion where everybody wanted it from a legal standpoint, the states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land, in this case, the law of the state. Like Ronald Reagan, I am strongly in favor of exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. You must follow your heart of this issue, but remember, you must also win elections to restore our culture and, in fact, to save our country, which is currently, and very sadly, a nation in decline.
So 2 things. This is why I say Donald Trump is not a liar. He's an exaggerator. Right, where he goes, everyone, all legal scholars wanted me to do this. There was not one, not a single one who disagreed at any point in history.
It's not his idea, too.
It wasn't my idea. It was everyone else's. I said, I don't know about this. They said, you have to do it. I said, okay.
He's a people pleaser. Even Sotomayor.
Even Sheila Jackson Brown. Love the band, hate the bitch. Now,
even Casey Anthony.
Yes.
Sheila Jackson King.
Even Susan B. Anthony called me up, said, look, you got to change this. I said, aren't you a ghost? So, just to be clear, okay. Also, and I see a lot of people on the right jumping on him, saying this isn't strong enough because he supports exceptions for rape. Okay, fine. Look, you may think that, and that's fine. People have different opinions on this. There's a spectrum. Unless you obviously are a member of the DNC, you cannot be on any sort of spectrum. You have to support abortion up until and including birth taxpayer-funded period, which I think is extreme, but that's me, Mr. Old-Fashioned. Now, the left, of course, reacted and completely misrepresented what he said. Again, keep in mind, he said exceptions, which probably is angering a lot of you, for rape, incest, life of the mother. Here is Morning Joe.
What he just said was he supports Florida's 6-week ban.
Yep.
6-week ban. Ban before women.
Insane.
Before women know whether they're pregnant or not.
Pause.
Really, Joe?
They keep saying this. Have you heard this before? 72%, according to the NIH, of women know that they are pregnant by 6 weeks.
No, I always throw up every morning and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, did I have my period? Well, I don't know. It's been 6 weeks. Don't you have a calendar? We're not asking you to pull out a sundial. And you have women who will say, if men had to deal with the period, then men, guess what? If men had a period, they would know if it was 6 weeks late. They would know if it was 2 weeks late. It's not true. References available at loudoscrowder.com. They repeat it just to try and support the legislation. That's before most women know they're pregnant. It's not true, according to a source that is being really, really, really generous. Let's continue.
And bans like Wisconsin had, that 1849 was total ban. I'm not sure if it's still in effect now.
Yeah, he's proud of it, and Democrats should drive that message home, because for women, this is a matter of life and death.
Pause.
That's wait a minute. That's sexist.
No, for the baby, it's a matter of life and death.
What do you mean? She's saying only women can get pregnant?
That's a good point.
Hey,
that's a good
right.
point.
I was told that men can get pregnant too.
Well,
I know. I got knocked.
This is. That's because you got drunk playing an Indian in a spaghetti western.
Well, no, he just talked to that guy in the plane too much. Fell in love.
You got to make better decisions.
I was a survivor of, and I'm not kidding here, of abortion.
You were?
Yes, I was.
Have you talked about that publicly?
I didn't know. I was looking at baby pictures a few years ago, like Christmas morning. A piece of coat hanger sticking out of my head. And my mother was trying to hide it with garland, and they bought me a Jets a Red Sox hat, and it was hanging off. It was so obvious that.
That's why he's so feisty.
Yes, exactly. It took out his portion of empathy in his brain. So she says this is a matter of life and death for women. First off, not all women get abortions. As a matter of fact,
just the good ones.
A minority of women get abortions. And then when you get to abortions, about 1.1% of abortions performed have anything to do with saving the mother's life or health even, by the way. And that includes a very wide spectrum like mental health in a lot of these studies that are conducted. So 72%, they said 6 weeks, which is well before women know they're pregnant. That's not true. And this is an issue. She says the Democrats should really drive this issue home, meaning lie, because it's an issue of life and death for women. No, it's an issue of life and death for 1.1% of women who actually have abortions. Let's continue with the stupidity.
Who love them. I mean, these laws, depending on how they differ in different states, just muddle the medical journey that is already a nightmare for women when they're on it, when they have a pregnancy that has complications, or they have questions, or they have a situation that is dire.
What a waste of
choice of being sterilized, bleeding out.
Pause it. I just gave you the 1.1. The highest number you'll find is 3% of abortions being performed for any medical reason whatsoever. 90% of abortions are performed for economic reasons. It's not even close. If you want to get to rape and incest, when we're talking about exceptions, less than 1% due to rape, less than 0.5% of abortions due to incest. Let's give you 0.5 just to round it up. This is a group of people who have been so unfettered in their lying for so long that they're comfortable doing it. So I want to get to the political fallout of this, but I think it's important. Every time they parrot these talking points, it's not true. Do we have finish the clip just so we can see?
Well,
Sorry. I want you to hold the thought, but I want to finish the clip because I don't want to misrepresent these assholes.
Of course.
Out or giving birth to a baby that won't live more than a matter of minutes.
Shut up,
and
silly
going
woman.
through the emotional trauma, let alone being sterilized by that. You can thank Donald Trump for that.
Hold on a second. Well, sorry, go ahead, Josh.
I would say 90% of the abortions for economic reasons, and that's so that these doctors can make some money, baby.
Yes, they can.
Off some whores.
They're making it. She just says, the emotional trauma of their journey. Let's think about that. Okay, so we now know that the vast majority of abortions, 90% are performed for economic reasons. Let's call it 97% would be the lowest number. Likely 98.5% are performed in a complete absence of any type of medical necessity or health of the mother. So the emotional journey, and of course less than 1% for rape. So 98%, 98.5%. The emotional turmoil, the struggle that they have to deal with. Okay, let's go through that. So you had sex, unprotected, which by the way is free today. You can get a rubber at a truck stop for 50 cents, or you can get free taxpayer-funded birth control, or a $7 generic at Walmart. Okay, you decided not to use any kind of birth control. All right. You had sex with somebody. You then decided that you didn't want to have the child, and so you went into a clinic and aborted it. By the way, in which a man has absolutely no say, but of course he has to support that child, and rightfully so, for the rest of its life if you choose to have it, like basically a whore dictator. So what part of that is emotionally traumatizing to you? I can't think of a class of people who have more successfully pulled the wool over the eyes of Americans in perpetuating this victimhood culture. Women who get abortions in the 21st damn century. It's so emotional. It's emotionally traumatizing. What? You weren't raped. There's no need to have the abortion, and it's basically free.
And you're at the dance club the next day.
Yes.
Getting it in again.
That's right.
That's right, because you know that
Mika
doctor on
probably
speed dial.
Mika probably does. She wears that tarp sweater.
Nobody has sex with her. Come on.
He does.
No.
Nobody.
Are you serious?
Yes.
No way.
Yes, Morning Joe.
They have the
Being
same haircut.
fuckable's not her
What?
problem.
No, it's not.
Him. That guy's.
Oh, my gosh,
That
he's
guy is
the worst.
the worst of the worst.
This is why you don't work with your partner, you know?
Well, she wasn't his partner when they started working together. It bloomed.
Yeah, because they're so good for each other.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, he's probably probably not coerced at all.
Yeah, it's a healthy relationship. So now you have conservatives, though, ripping Donald Trump for being too soft. And you see this, for example, Alex Clark, as a commentator, said, these Trump comments on abortion suck. That's the realest, most simple way to put it. It completely sucks. There isn't going to be a single pro-life candidate we can vote for in this general election. Marjorie Dannenfelser, president of the Susan B. Anthony, pro-life coalition, said we are deeply disappointed in President Trump's position. Saying the issue is back to the states cedes the national debate to the Democrats, who are working relentlessly to enact legislation mandating abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. If successful, they will wipe out states' rights. Now, let me ask you this before I move on, what your stance is on abortion. I do think, and you can comment below, I think the best you can hope for is obviously states' rights at this point. And you've seen that has been leveraged into a lot of bills, a lot of legislation that has saved lives of babies, particularly those who would be involved in later term abortions. So I think you kind of have to take that win. Now, myself personally, I do not believe in exceptions. For example, for rape. I've talked about this. I don't think that you respond to an act of evil by committing an equal or greater one. But I also understand how our legislative system works, and I also understand how Roe v. Wade was bad law, and the way to overturn it is exactly how it took place, and we don't want to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Now, this also is something you look at midterms, politically. I'm taking away our personal opinion here. Politically, the left used pretty successfully to spin a yarn into scaring women that they would lose all their rights, that it would be, is it Handmaidens or Handmaid's Tale?
Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's Tale, that pile of festering excrement. So they were pretty successful.
Come on, she's hot.
She looks like a shrew.
Dude, come on.
She looks like that.
Disgusted.
She looks like that little, what's that little children's book where it's like a mouse, but not like a mouse?
Like a Pokemon. It's like a...
No, it's like a little mouse. It's kind of like the animation of Eloise, but it's an animal. That's what she looks like.
Mickey.
No, not a podling, but close.
That thing, yeah. Soul sucker.
She was the worst part of Mad Men, and then she did that show. My point is this. His statement, Donald Trump, this is about as good as he could accomplish politically. And of course, the Biden campaign, they've been hammering President Trump on abortion a lot in new ads because he's losing former Vice President Biden on everything else.
For 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it, and I'm proud to have done it.
In 2016,
oh, wait, this is an anti-Trump ad.
Donald Trump ran to overturn Roe v. Wade. Now, in 2024, he's running to pass a national ban on a woman's right to choose. I'm running to make Roe v. Wade the law of the land again, so women have a federal guarantee to the right to choose. Donald Trump doesn't trust women. I do. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
I do.
You trust your daughter in the shower? Yeah.
Yeah, trust her not to say anything in the diary.
Not a joke. What does that mean?
What? Daughter on the
He
shower?
doesn't trust. No, I know what that means. He doesn't trust. He doesn't trust women. I do. What
He lusts over
to change your tire? What are you talking about? To check for prostate cancer? This is such a men don't. Women don't trust men. A man, and we say like, oh, that woman has attachment issues or abandonment issues. She has a tough time trusting certain kinds of men. We'll say those things, but just this general statement: Donald Trump doesn't trust women. I do.
Yeah, trust him to do what?
Yeah, I've always seen him all suspicious looking at Melania. Like, what are you planning next?
Yeah. And trust. Hey, should we trust you to understand how pregnancy works before 6 weeks? You can't hold those two positions. He doesn't trust women. I do. Most women don't know they're pregnant at 6 weeks. So you trust women to be idiots?
I wouldn't trust women either if they're making up rape stories about Macy's.
That's a good point.
How about that?
About Macy's or that took place at Macy's?
Well, not Macy's. I just threw the store in.
Because Macy, the namesake, notorious rapist. Don't even get me started on Mr. Sachs. Oh.
John Wayne Macy.
In the makeup section like a clown.
Yes.
All right. So, it's just one of those things. He doesn't trust women. Women.
What is that? I know. What does that even mean?
Do you realize that the Democrat Party thinks you're stupid? Please comment below.
No.
Please comment below. Do you realize they think you're stupid?
Please prove them wrong.
Yes, please prove them wrong. Vote them out. Don't use your snatch to pull the voting lever. You have a brain.
Favorite word ever. I'll laugh at that till I'm 100.
It's a good one. And we understand if you were previously a member of the DNC, likely cavernous. It's okay. It's a big tent.
Whoa.
Nobody trusted those women that had allegations about Joe Biden touching and raping him.
I know.
Can't trust those women. That's what one of them is stuck in Russia.
Yeah, even though they were actually credible. So since Roe v. Wade was over, politically, 7 states have had ballot measures, on abortion. And the left mobilized very effectively, raised a lot of money, and the pro-abortion lobby won on all 7, just to be clear. And that's something that is, Roe v. Wade has been.
Yeah, that's a big head scratcher of our time.
What do you mean?
Well, let me elaborate. It's. Let me explain some stuff. Okay, first we're going to talk about row. This is how you row. You get yourself in a little boat, you sit down, you grab these long sticks here, and then you pull through the water. Yeah, push it up and pull it through the water. Yeah, now you're moving. Whoa, oh, that's a one-handed row. Wow, this guy's got skills. Look at him go. Wow, flawless. And this is wade. They're wading into the water. They're having fun. That's cool. No boat needed. No giant sticks, no problem. Wade yourself into that water. Don't go too deep, though. Okay, so again, row and wade. Row, wade. Row, wade. Which one's better? You decide. Let us know. Comment below. Which is better, rowing or wading? I'm a Wade guy.
I hate that is going to clearly galvanize the Wade community on social media. It's going to be a flame war.
I took a lot of time on that.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I appreciate it. I don't know how you, what travel was necessary with the per diem, but,
We'll work it out.
We'll work it out. So it's the one issue, this issue here, politically, that Biden has any type of a foothold with any voters at all. The more voters actually have claimed that they trust former Vice President Biden on the abortion issue. If you look at all the voters, 38% trust Biden, 29% trust Trump. That's all voters. Independents, 35% trust Biden, 19% trust Trump. Independent women, 35 Biden, 16% trust Trump. Now, that doesn't mean that just because of a poll, you refuse to acknowledge the science. Just because of a poll doesn't mean that you say puberty blockers are without consequence for children because the science shows it is. Just because of a poll and women saying, I want to have as many abortions taxpayer funded as possible, doesn't mean that scientifically that is no longer the termination of a life. But I do think that President Trump has to walk, he has to thread a needle here a little bit. And I do think that he actually did a pretty good job, and the left is going to misrepresent him anyway. So I would say, reserve some of the attacks here on him saying personally, like Ronald Reagan, I have these exceptions with rape and incest, because the left is saying that he is supporting A total ban on abortion with no exceptions whatsoever. You just saw it with Morning Joe. You can go check out X or anywhere right now on Facebook or mainstream media. They're going to attack him for a position that he doesn't hold. So I just think that it's fair to be accurate. And I don't agree with him on everything here, but I understand the position he's in, and I think he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, you gotta at least look a little bit moderate, I think, personally. But
on this one.
He's trying to pull a lot of voters that aren't
Why is this fucking even relevant? I understand in other elections in the past,
yeah.
You have half the world moving in here, sneaking in here, crime through the roof, murder rate. Why is this?
Well, because the left is going to try and use this as an issue.
I realize they'll make it relevant.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just...
No, it goes to the states right now. Hey, do you live in California? Your rights have changed 0. That's the thing. It's gone to the states. And they'll say, oh, well, now we have to... some of us have to travel to a different state. Oh, well, I thought you wanted us to trust you, women. Get in an Uber.
Save the money you're spending on that travel for that baby.
I'd say to the Democrat, all those people sneaking in your voters, you're taking out a whole generation of future voters.
Well, what's funny, though, is now they're sneaking in Hispanics, and now they're actually turning for Trump. So like, oh, wait, we need to do something about the border and now just forgive student debt?
Yeah.
We need to buy different voters at this point.
Yeah.
It's never been so transparent. This is about buying voters. This is about buying female voters through taxpayer-funded abortion. And this is about buying young voters through forgiving them of student loans that they had no business getting in the first place. That's what we are seeing.
That's because they're losing. That's the only way. That's the quickest way.
Yep.
A transaction.
Yeah.
And what's even more pisses me off, it's not even Biden. He couldn't come up with these ideas.
Right.
It's his team of communists surrounding him.
Yeah, he's reading for sure.
It makes it even more frustrating.
It is.
And he's up there saying, I feel this way, I feel that way. No, you don't. Ilhan Omar does, and friggin'
Kamala Harris. I don't even know what Kamala Harris does at this point. I mean, I know she sleeps with mayors. She's good at that. When it comes to whoring herself to mayors.
Watch Ladder with Crowder live Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.